what are collectors looking for? What are collectors looking for? And I'd love to welcome on stage Michaela, a Web3 strategist, mental health artist, filmmaker, journalist, public speaker. Rahim entered the NFT space, invested early, and has been involved in a number of projects from the very beginning. Please welcome Rahim on stage. And Musfir, tech entrepreneur, co-founder of NFT One, crypto space, and he's been in the crypto space for 5 years. Musfir, thank you so much.
All right, and welcome back. What are collectors looking for? First, before we get into it, let's have a quick introduction, starting with you, Michaela.
So my name is Michaela Laluz. I'm an NFT artist, educator, strategist. I got very passionate about education in the NFT space. I entered the NFT space a year ago, around this time. And I think that education is really important for success in this space. So I try my best to open up these discussions, to do these events, and to educate people so that, yeah, hopefully when you listen, you feel a little bit inspired and get excited and all join the Web3 space.
Yes. And Rahim, a little bit about you.
Hey everyone, this is Rahim Mahtab. I have been a 3D artist and collector in the NFT space. I kind of used to be a scientist a couple of years ago, and then I kind of decided to follow my passion for photography. So I've been a cinematographer, a photographer, a 3D artist for a couple of years. I got into NFTs early last year as an artist. I kind of used everything that I made out of being an artist. I kind of distributed around in the community to kind of accelerate other one-of-one artists. I got into collectibles. And yeah, it's been a crazy journey. I'm also building a company in Dubai called ArtsDAO to kind of like bring more eyes to NFTs in the space, to kind of bring traditional collectors into the space, because obviously like we are talking about like mass adoption and things like that. So we definitely want to focus on getting a lot of DeFi people here. My particular focus has been to bring more artists in the space. I feel like art kind of saved me from doing what I used to do before, since I used to have a technical background. And I feel like this whole idea of starving artists is changing with this movement. I want to be a part of this movement. I want to bring as many people as I can. And yeah, that's why I'm here with Raz and these awesome other people.
Hey, awesome, man. This is my mission as well. I truly believe in that. Musfir, tell us a little bit about you and NFT One.
Yes, I guess not as impressive as you know the rest of the people here. I'm the co-founder of NFT One. NFT One is a NFT marketplace that connects the world to Middle East-based creators. I guess that's the theme that we started to go with. We wanted to create a space, a community, and a voice for people here in the Middle East to allow them to put up whatever they wanted to put up, and you know, could be art, could be any digital asset that they wanted to create with the Middle Eastern theme, and let the world have a look at the central resource for Middle Eastern themed NFTs.
Before we get into the conversation, first, I love your socks. They're really, really cool.
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Michaela, you're part of the Bored Ape Yacht Club.
I am. Who here knows what the Bored Ape Yacht Club is? Okay, all right. Yeah, all right. Yes, I am a part of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Correct.
Please, tell me a little bit more about why. What's the fuss?
Why the Bored Ape Yacht Club? So I believe, okay, so let's take it back a notch. So it hasn't even been a year yet, but so around a year ago today, like what, around April, May, I was living in Canada, okay? Paint you a little picture. It was very cold. I was very miserable, very, very sad. And I saw a room on Clubhouse, which is like an app where you can talk and hang out with people online. and I saw share your story / NFTs. I had no idea what NFTs were. Again, very, very sad, you know? And people were just sharing their story and about like life. People were just like coming together, like now, how we are, but just online, all over the world, in the midst of lockdown and all the stuff that we were going through. And I was like, whoa, like for the first time in my life, really, in a while, I felt connected to people, and I felt less alone than I did before. So I was really interested in NFTs, the technology, the art, and I started to release my art on the blockchain. I'm an artist. I released like my mental health art, where basically I write like my intrusive thoughts on photographs that I was taking of myself. So from a broken heart, I released the art. I sold the art. I made some money. Let's go. Okay, make some money from the art. All right, all right. And then I took that money and I did something that I never thought I'd do. I took $600 US, which was it's a lot of money for me at the time, and I invested in this cartoon animal of this photo of an ape. And, you know, that was like a crazy gamble at the time. And that photo of the ape was the Bored Ape Yacht Club, this blue chip project that we see today. Now, let me tell you, if I knew that it was this project, that it was gonna turn out to this, I would have bought like 100. I only bought one. And everybody always asks, like, what makes it, like, why the Bored Ape Yacht Club? What made it so popular? And what made it so popular was literally the community. Okay, so for the first time in such a long time, we felt like children again. We felt so happy. So I believe that like the Bored Ape Yacht Club kind of like represents a token in that time of a dark time where we had hope. Like we felt like we had some hope in a really dark time. Because right now, everybody, like a lot of people think that the Bored Ape Yacht Club is a situation where the rich get richer, which is not true. Just to give you all some alpha here, the Bored Ape Yacht Club mint, meaning like to buy one, it was 0.08. So at the time it was around $300. And like right now, people are profiting so heavy, like really, really heavy.
Especially
from,
like the last couple of days.
Exactly, the last couple of days we've released ApeCoin. So anyways, just the Bored Ape Yacht Club comes from a sharing consciousness. Now they are like the Coca-Cola, okay? They're like the Campbell soup. Like there's no copying that. Like it's an OG, one-of-a-kind company. And the reason for that is they gave the IP rights to the community. So basically, my friends and I, you know, spent $600 or $300 or so, and we were able to make NFTs, like paintings, artwork, derivatives of the ape that we owned. So my friends were making like Mona Lisa ape, you know, Michelangelo like ape, and they were flipping it at cost. So you were already making your return of investment right away. So the IP rights gives you access to, you know, create your own company around the ape and do a lot of amazing things. So we were having a blast. We were going into all these rooms, you know, just banging our chests like monkeys, letting it all go, having a great time. And it was just snowballing into this amazing thing that we just wanted to be a part of it. So it stems, that's where we all talk about like the community part. And then turned into the money. Like the biggest misconception is that the Bored Ape Yacht Club got popular because influencers pumped it on TikTok or YouTube. Nobody cared or knew what an NFT was at the time. How do I know? Because I was there. I was going to the events, like, you know, with a small group of people, and nobody cared about Bored Apes until much later, around like September of 2021. So it's just the utility is amazing. The community, it felt so good to be a part of something. Also, the psychology behind collectibles is, you know, not something new. Like we collect baseball cards and Pokemon cards. So at the end of the day, it's all about being a part of something, feeling like you're a part of something, and you know the mass utility of like one Bored Ape is worth now $300,000, you know, plus, and then all these free drops of like 20 grand and everything that's going on now. So it's a big thing.
It's a project that really rewards the supporters and the community.
Yeah.
Moving.
It's a very expensive panel here. There's
Yeah.
a lot of
You haven't slept last night, have you? Either.
No.
No one, everyone who was on ApeCoin did not sleep last night.
Can we talk about this?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. I put alarms for 1 hour every night.
Before we talk about it, can we explain what's happening first?
Oh, absolutely. So basically, by holding the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, they kind of airdropped tokens, which are essentially just like crypto coins to kind of use in their ecosystem. So they have governance in their DAO. DAOs stand for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. What it basically means is if you guys are all part of the Bored Ape DAO, you guys all have governance rights to vote on what we want to do with the DAO. Do you want to make a game? Do you want to do staking? Do you want to build a merch brand? So they dropped tokens to us. And when I say they dropped tokens, they dropped worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And last night, I'm not kidding you, I had set my alarm for 1 hour each, and I was waking up every hour in the middle of the night, checking my phone and seeing the price of the coin, because I still ended up selling 20%. And I was like, when I was coming here, and I'm still checking right before the event. So it's been such a crazy journey because the coins they've dropped us are almost as worthful as the Bored Ape itself, which is pretty crazy. And I think that's the beauty of Web3. Like when I bought my Bored Ape, I'm gonna tell you, I got lucky with it. There's anyone who tells you, like what she was saying, that we could have seen this coming and stuff, that wasn't the case. I got lucky with it. And I say this because I kind of try to educate this idea that by being present in Web3, just by being here every single day, there will be once in a while a project will click, and that will be it for you. And that was it for me.
NFTs are, in reality, speculative financial assets, you know. So they didn't know, he didn't know, nobody knew, you know. He didn't know that he's going to get $100,000 or $200,000 worth of coins dropped in last night that he could flip for $1 million in an hour. Nobody knew, right? So all they knew that they wanted to get into this space, they knew that they're getting behind the blockchain technology. There's Web 3.0 coming in, which allows pretty much everybody to get ownership of, you know, a new sort of asset class. So people should never forget that NFTs are speculative financial assets. Sometimes you back an asset believing that, oh my God, this asset's going to go 10x or 5x or 20x, and it turns out to be 0x, or probably, you know, you lose your money on it. So we have to keep our eyes and ears open, and, you know, no one knows, you know. I'm sure these people and many other people in this room did back a lot of projects that didn't do anything. In fact, they did lose the value. So, you know, it's not that they knew that what's coming. No one knows what's coming. So I guess it's a good time to be involved, but be also careful at the same time.
And something that we had in a conversation is that you get rewarded for being early. You also get screwed sometimes, but you get rewarded for being early.
You definitely do get rewarded for being early. Like this is like Bored Ape Yacht Club is my biggest success in regards to collecting. Yes. However, I've made a couple thousand. I talk in USD. Sorry guys, I'm North American, but a couple $1,000s for just participating in the Web3 space. And just a quick recap, like the Web3 space is basically the new phase of the internet that we are pivoting into. So Web 1 was the creation of the internet, which is the .com boom, Yahoo, MSN, and then Web 2 is Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all the apps that we're using today. And Web 3 is blockchain technology, metaverse, digital assets, etc. So that's what we're talking about when we say the Web 3 space is the decentralized place. And so what we're saying is airdrops and tokens is basically like just using some platforms in the Web3 space. A couple of months down the line, they released a token and gave it to you for free, where you can cash out that token for literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like it's not like a scam or anything, it's like, it's real. Like, I don't make any money pushing that. This also happened before, but it's just like, it's happened on more than one occasion. So it's a very interesting place to be in because that never happened to me in Web 2. Like, if anything, for Facebook and Instagram to use Web 2 platforms and apps, you're not really getting rewarded. They're taking your data and they're using it to make money off of you. Right? So in Web 3, we are taking back that ownership and we are owning the product and making money off of the product. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, I want to, you're doing something that is really dear to my heart, which is a platform that is focused on Middle Eastern art.
And I would love to hear a little bit more about how do you see the collectors looking at Middle Eastern art?
So I would say it's not only art. So I firmly believe that NFTs are a new financial asset. So to say people are looking for art is probably not the right word. So people are looking for, right now, a lot of people are looking for art. They say, okay, I look at this video or this image, and they say I'm going to collect this because art historically has been a store of value and culture, and then there's an option for them to flip it for a higher value. So what we're building is we're building a space, we're building a community which allows all of us, people who are based in the Middle East, to have our own identity projected to the rest of the world. So instead of all of us going to an international platform that's got millions of NFTs and millions of digital files buried under various themes, there should be a space where people from this region should be able to just, express their creativity, whatever assets, digital assets that they've produced, to put this up on a platform, and people come and say, you know what, I want to buy a Burj Khalifa themed or a Karakchai themed NFT digital asset, be it a collectible, something that's close to their heart because they want to blow up into a big picture, or they want to make it their iWatch wallpaper. There could be many utilities because art itself is a utility. Yeah. So what we wanted to do is to create a space that allows all of us to come in and kind of collaborate and create what we wanted to create.
And Rahim, as an artist, you are an artist, but why do you collect as well?
Oh, cool. This is an interesting question. So we talked enough about collectibles. Now let's talk about your one-of-one art. So these are your paintings, your photographs, your 3D renders and digital illustrations. I feel like, so firstly, being an artist myself, I feel like, because I used to work in a very different field. I used to be a forensic scientist, and I used to work with in the morgue. So I feel like I use art as an escape. So I always value art as like this crazy being that kind of helped me, and I kind of want to do that for other people. So I buy art in two aspects. So one, I would say, is I buy them for my main purpose, I guess, to buy art a lot of time is to really support artists. I remember the first time I sold my first piece, I couldn't sleep the entire night. It was on Foundation, and you have that 24-hour time code on it, and I just kept checking that. Did someone outbid? Did it increase in value? And that feeling, because I've been a freelance photographer for like 5 years. People would always tell me that you work for yourself, that must be super awesome, which it was, and I loved it, but I was still working for clients. But that day, someone out there, and I don't know who that person was, by the way, so it was an anonymous wallet, that someone out there on planet Earth deemed my art valuable enough to buy it. It was this beautiful, basically it was the idea of Garden of Eden, but in space. So there was an astronaut in a boat going through the ocean and stuff like that. So I kind of buy a lot of art, sometimes to support a lot of smaller artists, to kind of help them get into the space, help them accelerate. Especially, I know there are so many people who end up quitting art because historically, starving artists was always a thing, right? Like it has never been easy to make money off your art, and it pains me. It pains me when I see people having to do jobs that they do not like because they couldn't monetize on their art. So I definitely try to invest in them as well. However, I definitely do invest in what he was talking about is store of value. And in that scenario, what I'm looking for is, as a collector, what you're essentially looking for is how do I know that this art is going to increase in value? Now, when I say increase in value, I'm not necessarily saying I'm just here to flip the art. But art has always been a movement, right? So like tomorrow, if you come to my house and you look at that piece of work and you go like, oh, that's by Michaela, and right? And like that's like a prestige thing. That's a provenance, and that's something I look for. So when I'm buying art for store of value, I really study the artists. I kind of see how long have they been doing it. As much as I love color science and the aesthetics of it, I also love the narrative that's behind it, the story, not just necessarily the story of the art piece, but you as a person, what this means to you. So things like that, what I'm essentially looking for is how can you prove to me that your artwork is going to hold value in the long term. So think of it this way. I have 1 ETH. I know it's an ever-growing asset, so the likelihood of my 1 ETH becoming from $2,000 to $6,000 is relatively high. How are you going to convince me, if I'm talking for monetary reasons, that your artwork is worth to me way more than my 1 ETH asset. And there are millions of ways to do it. What I essentially want to know is you're going to stick around in this space and you're going to be around for a while. So Xcopy is one of the first NFT artists ever. He minted his piece in 2017 and sold it for 1 ETH. 1 ETH was $80 back then. That first piece got sold for 1,600 Ethereum a couple of months ago. 1,600 ETH. He had 10% royalty on it, so he got 160 ETH out of it. And what that meant was, because he had been creating art all the way from 2017 on the blockchain, when none of us even knew what NFTs were. And then essentially he ended up being a store of value. So I feel like I'm collecting it for the store of value thing. I'm investing in collectibles like Bored Apes and other things because I don't want to do what our previous generation did of putting all our eggs in one basket. So I kind of sometimes use the money I make in collectibles and kind of spread it into the culture of artists and like whether it's musicians or like painters and stuff like that. So as an artist, it's very important for me to see the creative economy thrive. I want to get rid of this idea of starving artists. I want to, one day, if I have a kid, I want him to look at me and say, when I tell him or her about a starving artist, that I want them to say that, Dad, what are you talking about? There's no such thing as a starving artist. They make just as much as engineers or doctors and stuff.
Let's go.
That's what I'm doing. And I feel like this digital renaissance of like the age of art that we are having right now is revolutionary. Like this is the first time we are getting to change the narrative of like really being artists. And I feel like every single person out there, if you have some sort of an IP, some sort of, like if you create content, content is a form of art. Art has always been a form of expression and culture, right? You'll be surprised of how a lot of those memes that came 10 years ago have sold for thousands and thousands of dollars. Do you guys remember that overly attached girlfriend meme? It was this girl staring at the webcam in like a very crazy way. I remember when she ended up putting that photograph of her, which became a meme, for 0.5 ETH. And she ended up, and it was being outbid, and she ended up selling it for 70 Ethereum. And now imagine the value that you think is your worth and what the world think is your worth. And that's bizarre to me and stuff. So yeah, I feel like don't sleep on this like if you're a creative, don't sleep on this. This is like booming the creator economy. What Instagram started and kind of messed up along the way is what Web3 is trying to push. So don't sleep on it.
Yeah. Oh man, beautiful words. As a collector, so for me, my first project that I collected was for me to actually understand, as a collector, what am I looking for in an artist? And that was my biggest learning. What does Michaela look for as a collector from the artists?
So a couple of things, like Rahim was saying, like I invest in collectibles and one-of-one art. It's interesting, the past couple of months, at the beginning, a little bit before Bored Ape Yacht Club released, we were investing in each other. So like the artists would like make money, I would buy someone else's one-of-one art, they would buy mine, and we would kind of like invest in this ecosystem. That kind of died down a little bit, I'll be honest with you, when collectibles came, because we're like, whoa, we're not alone anymore. Like, there was kind of just like, maybe 400 of us, and then we're like, whoa, like there's like 6,000 people on this planet that know about NFTs. So we got really into collectibles, and obviously, the money that came with it. I mean, come on, like investing $250 and then flipping it to $10,000 in a couple of hours, you're just like, whoa, I want to keep investing in that. So right now, what I'm looking at is a couple of things. So I'll do collectibles and also art in general, yeah? For collectibles, it's a very interesting time right now, and a lot of what we talk about is relevant to today. That can change next week. That can change in a month from now. It's very important to stay present when you enter the Web3 space. Like literally, I don't think Rahim and I have slept in I don't know how long. But it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making it like you need to be on 24/7. But when you are on 24/7, like if you're in the space and you enjoy it, you get rewarded. So if you are looking at investing into a project, we have to understand that these projects are like startup companies, okay? So you are investing in a startup company pretty much. So you gotta look at who's doing the project. Who are the people behind this project? Have they done projects before? Are they just completely random people? Because the beauty of the blockchain is that you can have a business and be anonymous. Now, it's very cool, but also could be a little bit dangerous and scary. So you want to know who are the developers of this project? Who is the community around the project? How do they speak? You know, when you're on social media or you're in these Discords or Twitter spaces, you know, how is the community behaving? Is everybody telling you you're gonna make $15 billion if you buy this NFT? Beware, because nobody should be telling you that. Nobody tells me when I invest in stuff, oh, Michaela, you're gonna 15x. When they do, I'm like, red flag. Like, red flag. And those hype projects, the floor, meaning like the lowest price that you could possibly buy, gets super high, very hype, you know? Because like people are capitalizing a lot on the fear of missing out, so beware of that. People will capitalize on, you know, you missed out on this because, you know, you missed out on Bored Ape Yacht Club. Don't miss out on the next Bored Ape Yacht Club. So there's a lot of research to do, and that's why it's really important to join a community that you like. I'm a part of the Art Style community. We love Art Style. Woo! And I just recently joined the Crypto Shakes podcast, which is great. So if you want to learn more about NFTs, that's the place to go. I really suggest that you educate yourself before investing or spending any money. You know, you really want to learn how the tech works, what NFTs are. Like, I see a lot of people just dropping too much money and not even understanding what the word fungibility means. Like, come on, people, you know, like, my friends, to get them to give me $300 is like, my friends will just give me $300. So, like, why would you give a stranger on the internet, you know, $300 to $1,000 to invest in a project that you don't even know about, right? So you want to make sure that you're educated before getting into anything.
And Musfir, being part of traditional art and collectibles and NFTs, what is a recurring theme that you're seeing from the collectors and the art that's being sold within that?
See, I would say that you can classify Middle Eastern NFT buyers into a few different baskets. There are people who are only there for the financial gain of it. I mean, they have no affinity towards art or any collectible. They see a business opportunity. They say, okay, you know what, I'm going to invest a couple of $1,000s in buying in this token because there's a lot of either hype around it or the community is, you know, is strong enough, and they feel that, you know, fools are going to rush in and they're going to, you know, soon in 10 hours or 10 days or 10 months, this is going to be a higher value. So, you know, and it's a fair position. You know, they're taking a chance and they get into a project and they don't care what happens after they flip it. You know, they go in and they go out. That's one sort of buyer. So, and that's their position, you know. And then we have people who are holding into art for a long time. So they see art as a store of value. They might not like it, but they're saying, I'm investing into this piece of art or into this NFT or this digital asset, and I'm holding it for 5 years or 10 years because I believe that it's going to appreciate in value. And then you have the collectors who absolutely love it for face value. It's like, oh my God, Rahim, you've created this beautiful sneaker. You know, I'm going to buy this because I love the design, look at the color, I connect with it, and they just buy it because it looks the way they see themselves in the mirror, you know. So I think there are all sorts of buyers in the Middle East. Obviously, you can't ignore the financial gain element of it, and it's picking up pace really fast, you know. There are some people who only enter an NFT project because they're going to flip it 10 hours later. They get into a floor price, you know, and when they see they've done 2x or 3x, they never look back, you know. So I think the community is very young, you know, and we're all building the community. It's everyone's responsibility to educate others and tell them that, you know, this NFTs are speculative financial assets. So, you know, she's telling people, you know, watch out for the red flags, and somebody says, oh, you're going to make so much money in this project, you're probably not going to make your money. You're going to lose all your money, you know, because it's a money grab. So, you know, educators are, the collectors are smart now. You know, there's so many platforms, you know, which tell people what not to do. I think in the crypto space, that's the most important thing, not to know what not to do, you know, rather than, hey, you know, people coming to me, tell me your top 3 coins. And I say, I can't tell you which 3 coins you should buy because, you know, I'm a firm believer that 90% of the people who are buying Ethereum, for that matter, are never going to actually do an Ethereum transaction. What does that tell you about the blockchain? You know, so people are buying tokens that they are never actually going to be using it for the purpose this token was built. And you can't ignore that element of it, you know. So there are people who are just flipping it. So, and everybody has a right to choose their position, you know. And there's no right position or there's no wrong position. You can't blame these people who are only getting in because they want to flip it. Because if they were not there, there would be no community in the first place. Yeah, and then you can't you can't blame people who are holding it for a long time, saying, "Oh, you're not bringing your art to market. You're not allowing us to own it," because that's his position. He wants to hold it for a long time. In the the time and the place that he chooses or she chooses, they will come and put that asset for sale. And the third people are just like us. They like art for the sake of art, and they take it. So the community is evolving. That's I would say.
That's beautiful. I could carry on asking questions like for a long time, but I'm gonna open it to questions from everyone. Does anyone have any questions for collections? Yeah.
So about music, I heard that you invested all in collectible music in the part. How does it work? Like the copyrights, or you got a portion of the music, or you have any idea how that works? So just to give them a little bit also for us as well, a little bit of insight how to invest on that.
Actually, the next session is NFTs and music, but if someone wants to say something about NFTs and music, please go ahead.
I will leave more details for the next session, but I think when it comes to generally copyrights of one of an artist and just like artists in general, there has been just thing that be transparent about that. There are people who are giving rights to you, and more power to them. I personally think at least like singular artists should keep their creative rights. I'm completely okay with that, and I'm saying this as an artist myself, that as a collector, I'm completely okay, and I think that should belong to you. But I feel like if you want to give the rights and stuff, more power to you, I guess. Like like what Musfir was talking about, that there are different people, the market is different, so you let people how they roll, as long as just be transparent about it. Just be like, if you want to give them right, sure. If you don't want to give them right, just mention on your licensing details so that you don't get into trouble later on and stuff.
Yeah, so the smart contract's there for a reason, You could say that I am selling my music as an NFT, and this is a collectible, which would mean that it could not be made a part of a podcast, a movie, or a TV commercial, or you could not make people, you can't collect money from people to listen to my music, for example, so you always retain the commercial rights of it. So if I own your music, I can listen to it, I can make my friends listen to it, but what I can't do is I can't make it a part of a movie, for example. So I think you choose your position as a creator as well. You say, I want to sell my music, which is great, but I choose what I want to give to people.
So for collectibles and stuff, there's always a roadmap and utility and all these like future plans and stuff. What is it like for art and photography? Because I know that it's one of one, but how can you really make it, is there usually a utility for it or a roadmap? Because I guess I'm a photographer and I'm thinking of this stuff, but I don't know how I can make it valuable enough for people to want to be a part of it.
Yeah, so I would say that art is its own utility. And if you choose that position, I think you're absolutely fair to tell people that you are buying art and that's the only utility. And people will buy it. So should you be worried about you have to create another utility in real life, or a Web 3.0 utility like something will happen in the metaverse if you buy my photography? Maybe or maybe not. So if you choose not to do it, it's absolutely fair.
So I love what you said. Art is the utility. So I started off as an artist, and I would experiment with how I released my collections. So sometimes I would add oh, you get, a consultation with me and such, or you if you buy this NFT and it was of my art, let's say I would release 3 or 4 art pieces. One of those art pieces gave you 20% off to my next art piece, or it gave you some sort of there was a little bit of gamification in that way. You know what I mean? People like that. That's why we get really excited with the collectibles, because there's that excitement of it's a gamble almost. What are we gonna get? So I love on OpenSea you can have something called unlockable content. So you can add whatever it is. It could be access to a physical piece. If you feel like, you want to add something extra, or you can create partnerships with other artists and photographers and say, hey, do you want to partner up? And so if people buy this piece, maybe they can get early access to your piece. That's why it's really important of community building, because you want to create you want to create allies with other people. It's really, really important, because right now there's so many people getting in that if you upload your work right now on OpenSea, which is kind of like the Alibaba of like the NFT space, who's gonna see it? Right? Like, who's going to see it? So it's very important, and we want more people. I'm speaking for the NFT community and saying this, that like, come right now, the hub, like the cafeteria for the NFT space is Twitter. You'll meet a lot of people who want to help you. We want more people to come in. So create partnerships with other people and add something like fun. It could be a physical piece, it could be a signed piece, something cool like that.
I'm just
that's
gonna
a good
add one
idea.
quick small thing. I'm very much on this idea of that art is utility. Please don't let the space pressure you into really putting something that you feel like you start devaluing your art, and you start thinking that your art is not good enough, that you need to add something to it. I always say that that utility of whatever that you want to add shouldn't be the USP. Like, people shouldn't be buying your art because it's the utility you're offering. It should be an added thing, whether it's a print, whether it's like a meetup, a consultation and stuff. But like, art is buying into someone's history. I'm buying a moment in a history in you, in your story and what you've done in this space. And that's it. You've done that as an artist, and I'm investing in the artist itself.
I love that. Thank you, guys.
As real people that obviously are active and socializing and enjoy going out, what are your thoughts on the metaverse and how NFTs will integrate that? And for me, it's a scary thought. What do you guys think?
I think the metaverse exists already. I mean, you see the kids today play Roblox and Fortnite and so many other 3D digital human interaction. And as a person, you have you're the master of your destiny. You choose to go inside the metaverse as a visitor and have no transactions and no interaction with people. It's absolutely your right. So no one's forcing anyone to go into the metaverse until that happens. So we all saw that a couple of months back in Arab Health, the UAE's Ministry of Health launched their own metaverse. They say we have a metaverse where you could go and book a vaccine jab or a consultation in the metaverse. They're not saying you should go and do it. They're saying it's an option for you to do it. So if you really wanted to, if you tried phoning them and you couldn't get through, and you wanted to, say, I don't leave my house, but I really want to speak to a doctor and I have questions about this, then the option exists for you to go to the metaverse and interact with them. Tomorrow, if they make it a policy that the only way you could get a COVID jab, for example, is to be accessed in the metaverse, then okay, this is a policy that's being, coming down on us. So the scary element is there, yes, and you can't deny it. But right now, you make your own choices.
One more question.
First of all, thank you for your input. My question is basically, as a collector creator standpoint, do you think Discord is a viable social platform in the long run for NFTs projects? Because personally, I find it a bit noisy in terms of the FUD that happens and all the FOMO that happens on the platform. So are there any alternatives in your opinion, or is it the only way you think a project can maybe communicate with its community?
I think that Discord, the whole hype of like servers and getting, the whitelist, aka the allow list, like that's calming down a lot. Like we put a stop to that in a way, kind of as a whole. We're like, yeah, like this was interesting for like a couple of months, but like now we're just tired of it, because if you think about it, these projects, these cash grabs, were getting us to grind pre-sale, so buying something at cost, which is what they were calling whitelist, but we're kind of trying to like eliminate that term. And we were working really hard to only be able to spend money to buy this project that was probably gonna, screw us over. So we all caught on really quick, not quick enough in my opinion, but pretty quick, where we're just like, hey, we don't wanna do this anymore. So now it's calmed down a lot. Discord as a whole, if you're in like one community that you really like it's less overwhelming and it's more calm. And I think that Twitter is a great place. Like you could really feel like you're a part of a community by just like following those people in the community on Twitter. And then if there's a really community that you just want to chill with, you know, think about it kind of like, yeah, just hanging out in someone's like, you know, living room. You would go there and just focus on that server only. But Twitter Spaces is a great way for community building. Like, it's just about Twitter Spaces, in my opinion. You can connect to people so much. You know, it's basically doing what we're doing right now, but with like all of us just, you know, doing our own thing and being able to talk and stuff like that.
Michaela, Rahim, and Musfir, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. This
Thank you
was
for having us.
amazing.
Thank you.